welcome to the show. Welcome to CEO Interviews on IPO Day. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Great to be here. Very excited to be celebrating our listing today on the New York Stock Exchange of Agiliti.
Absolutely. It's always an exciting day to IPO. Talk to listeners why Agiliti, well, actually, catch us up on exactly what Agiliti does in the marketplace before we get to the IPO.
Sure, absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity. For more than 80 years, Agiliti has been helping hospitals and health systems manage their critical challenges when it comes to the management of medical devices. We're the leader in the management, maintenance, and mobilization of regulated reusable medical devices. What that means very simply is we ensure clinicians have the medical devices that they need delivered right to the patient's bedside, and always with the confidence that they're maintained at the highest standard in the industry.
Now, obviously, I want to talk about how this past year has affected your business model, because I imagine it has in countless ways. But I'm interested to know if that has affected why you've decided to go public now, why now is the time to go public, or if there are other reasons.
So this year and the events of the past year obviously have had an impact on our business, but our plans to go public are things, is something we've been working toward actually for a couple of years. Starting with, if you reflect on what we do in our business, for more than 7,000 customers across the country, we help them manage the critical challenges that they have around their medical devices. So as the events of COVID impacted the country, impacted our nation's health system, we've been a critical part of that response, helping them have the devices that they need, optimizing the devices that they own, augmenting from our medical device fleet. In terms of the financial impact, it was simply incremental to what is already a large, growing business that does this work in and around our customers each and every day. So the impact of COVID was really just marginal to what is a business that was growing before COVID, is largely growing through COVID, and will continue to grow as we reach the backside.
As COVID was hitting this year, did you have to address certain needs? Because obviously it hit everybody by a tremendous surprise. How much did it affect how you guys went about your business, and how any slight pivots that you had to make?
Sure. And I think it's important to understand we bring unique capabilities to bear for the healthcare industry. We're very much a critical part of our nation's healthcare infrastructure. Always, several times each year, we mobilize our teams and medical devices that we own to support unique needs, whether it's tied to the patient surge of a flu season, when a hurricane threatens the southeast of the United States. We're always a critical part of that response. So no different in this year. As the events of COVID began to unfold, that we mobilized teams and equipment, bringing them to where they were most needed, supporting the needs of our customers. And then we were also called upon by the federal government to help support both the deployment and the support of our nation's medical device stockpile as well.
And how much was that navigating the regulations and sometimes the dearth of supplies? How important is that to have a supply chain, the operational excellence involved in that supply chain management? How important is that, getting that right before you are met with all these head-on challenges and hurdles that you have to navigate?
We today have the nation's largest fleet of medical devices that are part of our rental pool. So we're always a critical part of the ability for our customers to be able to respond, and probably the events of COVID more clearly than at any time in our past really highlight those unique capabilities. Because as you mentioned, supply chains, including for manufacturers who make these devices, were interrupted throughout this period. There were no more devices available from manufacturers. So our ability both to deploy the nation's largest medical device fleet, our rental fleet, support our customers' needs in the field, and then to be able to support the federal government in deploying and supporting those devices in the field as well, I think really helped bridge any gaps and ensure that we could be part of the solution over the course of this last year.
And something, that investors, if they're looking at Agiliti, something that is very obvious to point to is, despite or perhaps because of the craziness of this year, you guys have maintained and even grown your revenue you're operating profitably, you have great cash on the books. Talk to us about how difficult it's been to manage that and how much you have to have the core, the foundation there before you're able to grow any further.
So it starts with an amazing team, not just an amazing group of employees that day in and day out, went into harm's way, worked with our customers and supported their needs in the field. But I have the privilege of working with an extraordinary management team. Many of them have been with me now for 2 or 3 companies, in some cases spanning almost 2 decades. So we were able to bridge from the pre-COVID through the disruptions as we entered COVID, throughout this period, and hopefully as we find ourselves on the backside. While it took a lot of work and caused some nights, sleepless nights for each of us, what you see in our financial performance, what you always see in our financial performance, is very steady, stable, predictable growth. So we're like the duck on the pond. We calm on the outside, we're paddling like crazy below, but the calmness on the top that you see is reflected in our financial performance. Steady and stable before, steady and stable through, and steady and stable as we emerge. And it really reflects the very balanced nature of the work that we do and our business, balanced across the life cycle of our customers' experience with devices, balanced across the medical and the procedural side of the hospital. These natural hedges help ensure the stability and the predictability of our financials.
And I'm interested, you've been with Agiliti since 2015, I believe. How has your time there grown, and how have your thoughts, if they have, changed at all in terms of what you feel like Agiliti is best suited to bring to the marketplace?
I think Agiliti is probably the most important company in healthcare that people don't know. We're not a household name, yet the work we do for our customers, again, each and every year is so critically important. It could be as simple as each flu season, ensuring that hospitals have the devices that they need to meet those surges. Back in our history, all the way back in 2001, in the events of 9/11, all the way to our responses during COVID this year, we are always a critical part of meeting the needs of health systems across the country so that they can continue to provide good quality care to their patients.
And I'm interested, a couple of years ago, you guys did a deal with private equity firm Thomas H. Lee. How much was that a part of your growth? How much was that a stepping stone to where we are today as you IPO on the New York Stock Exchange? Talk to us about that deal and what it was able to give to Agiliti.
And as you imagine, as a private company, the private companies transact between private equity owners from time to time. So in 2019, we did complete TH Lee completed acquisition of this company from our prior owners, Irving Place Capital. TH Lee brings an absolute wealth of experience, as well as capital to the table. Fantastic in terms of governance, fantastic in terms of the guidance and support that they've given our business. They've been very supportive. They've helped fuel the growth that we've been able to see to date. And now they're supporting us as we move into the public markets, have the chance to reset our capital structure and get the dry powder that we're seeking at low cost of capital that we'll be able to have access to augment that very strong organic growth that we've shown to date and be able to increasingly supplement it with opportunistic M&A.
And speaking of, the opportunities that are available to you as you IPO and then beyond, you discussed paying down debt as part of the process of IPOing, and that's kind of typical for many companies as they IPO. Do you want to talk briefly about that as CEO to investors, what that means when you go public and you're paying down debt, and then what it allows you to do going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So private equity owned companies typically carry a lot of debt, and particularly if you generate strong cash flow like we do within the business, right, allows you to return a lot of capital to those owners. What going public allows us to do is recapitalize the business, so lower the debt on our balance sheet. That'll give us a lot of dry powder, and with that dry powder, that both additional debt capacity and the lower cost of accessing that debt capacity, it really gives us the rocket fuel we need, again, to augment what is already a very strong organic growth profile with opportunistic M&A. Things that allow us to build on these extraordinary capabilities that we have, the unique footprint that we enjoy, that all of our operations are built on, and add new incremental capabilities to provide further growth for years to come.
And what are some of the things, I mean, this is a booming section of the marketplace in terms of if you're talking about the medical equipment, and there's so much room for growth, broadly speaking. Where do you see Agiliti's place in that landscape? And also in terms of the innovation moving forward, what are some of the things you're looking at or are excited about as you continue to grow and pursue different opportunities?
We like to stay close to the things that we know best. So where our investments have been historically and will they continue to be around the areas where we can provide the most value for our customers, around the management and optimization of our customers, of the medical equipment our customers own, because we can drive up the utilization of that equipment and help reduce the costs and inefficiencies that they see. It's around managing, repairing and maintaining the devices that they own and structurally reducing the costs that they experience in that environment. And then our ability to supplement with our rental fleet so that we can close the loop and deliver the lowest total cost of accessing the devices that they need to provide care by providing supplemental rental to meet things like peak needs or provide access to devices that they shouldn't otherwise own. It's a big vision. We're unique in our capability to be able to do it. And we certainly see opportunities to continue to augment that going forward. Again, looking at interesting tuck-ins that fit our model.
And as you mentioned before, you know, discussing the sleepless nights that you've had throughout this year and that people on your team have had, I think everybody can relate to some form of that this past year. It has been, you know, difficult and crazy and surprising. Has it affected how you lead the company, how you approach the role of CEO? Have you rethought things that you felt like were working that you've kind of, pivoted away from at all?
It actually just provides further support for what we hold most dear. We have a fundamental belief that guides everything that we do. It's that every interaction has the power to change a life. And perhaps never has that been more true than the events we've seen over the course of the last year. For us and our fundamental business model, we know the only way to be successful, particularly in a people-based business, is that everything has to start and end with a focus on our teams. The ability to attract, train, retain high-quality people that align with the importance of the work that we do. We've always believed that, and I think the events of this past year further drive that home. As we sent our teams into harm's way before we even knew what COVID was going to be. Very proud of the way that they responded, and we've continued to live up to that belief, taking good care of them, and that will absolutely continue to drive our decisions, our behaviors going forward.
And as you enter the public markets, what's one of the things that you're most excited about?
The public markets for me simply are a chance to be able to reset our capital structure, have access to lower cost capital, and give us the rocket fuel we need to power the growth that we see that this company is capable of achieving going forward.
Well, Tom, I appreciate you taking the time on this busy day. I know you're talking to people and excited with your team. So I appreciate you taking the time and talking to Seeking Alpha and sharing with our investors who are excited about Agiliti coming to the market. If you want to leave us with any kind of, specialty about Agiliti that you feel like investors have overlooked or aren't paying enough attention to, I'm happy to give you that right now.
Well, thank you. First, thank you for having me today. We are very excited about the very critical role that we get to play. We're a unique company that we have really no peer, no equal. The impact that we have on this nation's healthcare infrastructure, I think is important. It's extraordinary. And we're thrilled to have this opportunity to raise the awareness of the critical and important work that we do.
Well, Tom, it's been a pleasure. I hope to catch up with you down the line as we get to discuss in more depth what Agiliti has going on and what kind of progress and updates you have for us. But enjoy the day, enjoy the announcement, and great luck with it.
Thank you very much.